Multiplying integers is pretty easy if you've got a good understanding of multiplication facts. It just is something where you just need to go ahead and remember that you've got to take into account those negative signs. And a simple way of remembering it, a lot of students do it this way. They just remember positive signs. Positive, that's how you've been doing it your entire life, probably up until this point. It's going to give you a positive number. So 3 times 4 equals 12. Now negative times a negative, that's going to give you a positive number. Negative 3 times negative 4 is equal to 12. Negative times a positive is negative. Negative 3 times 4 is equal to negative 12. And positive times a negative is equal to negative. So 3 times negative 4 is equal to 12. And really, one way of remembering this is just if you have an even amount, like here we have 2 negatives multiplied to each other, that ends up being a positive number. If we only have 1, then that ends up being negative. And another way of thinking about this is here, if I have a negative times a negative times a negative, that's going to give me 3, so that's an odd number, so that would give me a negative answer. But if I have a negative times a negative times a negative times a negative, that's 4, and that's an even number, so that would give me a positive outcome. So let's do a couple of problems here. This is 2 times negative 1. Start off at the 0 here. 2 times negative 1. That's just 2 sets of negative 1. So 1 set of negative 1, 2 sets of negative 1. Well, 2 times 1 is going to be 2, and then you got to figure out that negative sign. So it's negative 2. Now this is negative 2 sets of 2. And again, we start over here. So we got 1 set of 2, 2 sets of 2. But then we take the opposite of it because it's negative 2. So we go all the way back over here. So that's going to be negative 4. And it's just 2 times 2, and then you take into account that negative sign there, since there's only one of them. Now down here, slightly different problem. If I want to go ahead and come up with a problem like this, negative 2 times negative 2, that looks very similar to this problem up here. But again, negative 2 here, 1 set of negative 2's, 2 sets of negative 2's. But it's not multiplied by 2 sets of negative 2, it's negative 2 sets of negative 2's. So then I go the opposite way, and I go back over here, and that's just going to give me 4. So 2 times 2, and then you take into account the 2 negative signs, and you end up with 4. And then we're done.